Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Stay tuned to hear more about all that Skillshare has to offer.
Hey guys, welcome back to PencilStash. On today's video, I thought that we could do something fun, and one of the things that I really liked about my recent acquisition of Johanna Basford's new coloring book is the inclusion of pages with these kind of little vignettes of smaller things to color. So for example, like this page has 12 stamps on it. And let's see, I know there's a bunch here. This page has 12 like candy or sundae or like dessert kind of motifs. And I thought that we could actually kind of tackle these little by little in just kind of small little bite-sized chunks. So the one that I really want to do today is, of course I can't find it now, is this one. So this page has 4 little kind of circle vignettes of birds, and I'm really excited because my backyard is just flourishing with birds right now. I feed the birds. I have multiple bird feeders, and I actually have a set of robins who have made a nest on one of my trellises and just had 3 adorable, cute little baby cheeps, I call them. And they're so cute. So I am all in the mood for coloring birds. So I thought that we could kind of start here, do one of these maybe like once a week, just to have a consistent video. I know I've been a little inconsistent lately, so I just thought that it would be fun to have these little bite-sized chunks that we could do together instead of doing like a whole page, which has just kind of been overwhelming me right now. So when you feel overwhelmed by coloring, you know, I have a tendency to stop entirely, when maybe stopping isn't the answer. Maybe it's just kind of, you know, doing these smaller little things just so that it still feels satisfying, you know, you're still having fun with it, but you're not overwhelmed by, you know, a double spread Kirby Rosanes kind of page. So let's get started. So the first one that we're going to do is this one, and I do believe it is a cardinal. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. They have these really awesome, like, kind of mohawks. They're like the punk rocker of the bird world. And I just went on Pinterest and I just kind of pulled up, you know, cardinal, just to see a little bit of what their colorings look like. And I also was curious, like, this is a female, this is a male. They have a very kind of different color set. The male is more bright and colorful, and the female is a little bit more subdued. So I think just for fun, we're probably going to do the male. And I also just like the fact that I can kind of see that like his back feathers are a little bit darker. They have a little bit more of like a brown tone to them. So we can kind of use this as a little bit of our reference material, our inspiration, just so that we have something a little bit realistic to go off of. So, oh, that's so cute. So let's pull some reds. And the first thing I always like to do is kind of go to my color charts and just kind of decide like what are the reds that we're going to be using. These just feel a little bit more pink. So I don't know if I'm going to use any of my faber-castells, so we'll put that aside, at least for the cardinal. Put that aside. These feel a little bit wrong as well. These are a little bit more kind of purpley. So let's go to my favorites, the Prismacolor. And I think that these reds in here are kind of perfect, actually. Definitely pull some of these. And then the other kind of dark back feathers, maybe we could do in some of these like henna, Tuscan red. Maybe we can even add a bit of a brown tone to the back with some browns. So let's pull some colors and just kind of have them ready to go. All right, here are the colors that I pulled. I pulled a bunch of those reds that we talked about. I pulled henna and terracotta, and I even pulled this color. This one is called chestnut, and as I was looking at my color chart, this kind of really screamed that kind of reddish brown kind of happy medium that I saw in the reference photos, so we might use some of this. Then I also pulled sepia, which is one of my favorite browns here. This is a nice deep rich brown, and we're just going to use this a little bit sparingly, but just to maybe add in and drive home some of that darker color. So I'm going to start with, what is this one? 926. This is Carmine Red. And I'm just going to pull up my reference photos. And this Carmine Red is really just kind of around... Actually, you know what? I feel like I want to make sure that I'm getting that black around his face, like right off the bat. So let me grab my black just to put this in because I do not want to screw this up. So if you look at the reference photos, it's actually all the way down his face, kind of all the way to here. So I think I'm gonna just dive in. I'm just going lightly for now. And I might make a little adjustment to some of the shapes because we can always go back in and do more. We cannot necessarily go back in and do less. So I'm just making a little bit of like a shape outline just to make sure that I'm kind of capturing exactly what that shape looks like. And this card has really, really small beak. I think that's what's throwing me off. Like if you look at a cardinal, he has a much more pronounced beak than this drawing does. And it's fine. I still think it's a cardinal, but I think that's what's kind of throwing me off a little bit. And now that we kind of have the black down, what I can do is now go in with my reds and just kind of not maybe intrude into some of the spaces that would have been black. I have a little bit of a guardrail now. So I'm just going to sort of start around his face. And this Carmine Red has a lot of pink in it, which I like. His the reference photos actually have a little bit of this sort of bright kind of orangey pink kind of around his black face markings. So I'm just going to kind of use this as a jumping off point that we will kind of build upon. All right, now I am going to add a little bit of poppy red just because my reference photos also, like on top of it kind of being like a pink, bright sort of color, it's a little bit more of like a red-orange color actually. So I think the layering of these two will kind of give me the overall shade that I want. And I'm not worried about detail now, I'm just kind of putting in some like color blocking just to get those down. And now let's go to Scarlet Lake. And this is just a really nice, like true dark red, bright, bright red. And I'm just going to sort of go right up to where I ended off with those other colors. And I'm just going to sort of blend the two together by going into that section and then out of that section, into it, and just sort of marry these two until I get a nice blend. And I'm going to stay away from the wings just a little bit for now, just because that's where some of those more dark colors will be. And I'm going to focus the darkest red along the backside. I like the way that these color tones are kind of all working together, especially the addition of that poppy red. That was good. As soon as I put down that pinky red, I was like, well, this isn't it. And layering really allows you to kind of course correct or pivot. Once you kind of have some of those things down, you can definitely use layering to kind of, get back on track. I'm also going to add this like underneath on his tail feathers. And I've got the reference photo just like right here, just to make sure that I'm always kind of using it off to the side. All right, now everywhere else, I'm just going to put down a very light layer of this color because I'm going to start to kind of use some of the other colors to build upon. And I don't want to go too hard with my pressure because once you start to use more pressure, you add more layers, you're actually kind of working these into the tooth of the paper, and it'll be more difficult to add more layers later. So I want to start very lightly so that I have room on my paper within that tooth to add the additional layers that I want. And this is what I would call my foundational layer, kind of the one that I use to lay down first, that I use to build upon. I forgot to tell you guys, but I'm actually liking my Prismacolor pencil sharpener again. I've been using this one for a long time, and I'm just not in love with it anymore. I was in love with it for a long time. I have been disappointed in it lately, so I'm back to this one, and it's actually working pretty well. All right, so now I'm going to go in and just kind of start to build a little bit of this layered color story. And what I'm doing is actually really haphazardly just kind of drawing in some texture. Feathers are one of those things that has a lot more texture than it might appear on the overall kind of composition. But when you look at them individually, they actually have quite a lot of variation and texture. So I'm just going to use this color to just kind of haphazardly draw in some curlicues. And this is just the first layer, but it'll just kind of help me sell that it's not just like a flat, cartoony bird with no texture. And I'm just going to do that on these layers right here, at least for now, with this color. And I'm just going to pick this up so you can maybe see that a little bit better. Just kind of see what I'm kind of adding in as we go. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of Tuscan red just to drive home some of these same sort of shapes, but I'm just layering in order to build something just a little bit more dynamic. And you can see here I still have quite a bit of little white space poking through, and the layers that I'm adding will also help to kind of fill some of that in. And on these little kind of vertical skinny ones, I'll start from the bottom and work my way up, but maybe not go all the way, just to keep that more orangey sort of ring around his face, like facial features. All right, now I'm going to add just a wash of this color. Oh yeah, this color is great. So add just a little bit of wash of that, and I just want to test this chestnut color just to see what we're working with. Okay, yeah, that's going to work really well. So I'm just going to add this same Tuscan red. I always forget what this one's called. I'm going to add the same Tuscan red textural kind of lines here. And actually, I kind of want to add a little bit of just true red on the tips of some of the wings. And then we'll just kind of continue along. When you're working with like bigger areas like this, your curlicues, I just like to get them a little bit tighter so that they look more like texture and not so much like pencil marks. All right, I'm going to stop there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this chestnut color just to see. Yeah, this color is like kind of perfect to add that just little bit of kind of muddy brown to his back wing feathers here. And I don't want to completely erase the texture that I just added. I'm just using this kind of like a thin top layer just to add the color, but not erase some of that texture. And then I'll do the same thing here. And I do like to stay within the boundary lines of each of these little feathers. Like if I just went across the board here, I think it wouldn't translate as well. Like if the artist has sort of drawn them individually, then I think that you should kind of stay within those boundaries as well, because the texture would be on the individual wings and not necessarily crossing the boundaries. So that's why you see me doing this. I don't know if it would be perceptible, but I would know. Maybe we do kind of a brighter red down here at the bottom, just to break this up a little bit. This is like the perfect lipstick red. Okay. I want to do the same thing on the tail feathers, but maybe with a slightly different color. So I'm going to grab henna, and then I'm just going to add a thin layer with Crimson Lake, because I just want that dark brown to be here, but I want the texture to be elsewhere. So I can do that by just kind of mixing up the colors a little bit. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is actually take my sepia, and this is very sharp, and I did that on purpose because I do want to add just a little bit of shading around some of these feather overlap areas. just to really give it a little bit of that three-dimensional quality. I'm going to outline some of the feathers as well. Oh, you know what? And then I'm also going to do the same on these back tail feathers. There we go. And then I kind of want to add, I love this red up here, but I just want to kind of dirty it up just a little bit like the reference photo show. And then if there's any areas that I kind of want to fill in just a little bit, I'm going to use the lightest color just to blend just a little bit. All right, I really like this. I think that came out really, really nicely. My favorite part is definitely this little orange, just right around his kind of black sort of mask features. I'm just gonna further define this just a little bit. The other thing I could do is take a fine liner just to kind of drive home that I did kind of change up the shape a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that's, you know, required. There we go. And now his beak is really orange, so I might actually dig out a more true orange, cadmium orange, and do that. Maybe we'll come back with some highlights later. But I think that's kind of it for our cardinal. I really like that. Very pretty. Now let's move on to the strawberries. I really like the red with the strawberries, but I don't necessarily want them to be kind of competing with each other. So what we might do is do maybe some early strawberries and have them be a bit more pink instead of red, just to make sure that it kind of differentiates and that the cardinal, he's in the center, he's the star of the show, and you know, you don't want your eye kind of moving around too much. So I think maybe we'll reuse maybe this poppy red, or no, this one. This pop, nope, not that one either. This one, this carmine, is that what this is? Carmine red 926. We'll maybe use this as our darkest color, but then everything else will be a little bit more on the pink side. So let's take a look and see what we might want to kind of pull here. What I might want to do, is it crazy maybe to do a little bit of this like fuzzy wuzzy color? I love this color. This might be one of my favorites. And then I always like this nectar color, but it's a little bit dominant, and it ends up looking like carmine lotion. What's that called? For mosquito bites and stuff? Chamomile? No, that's tea. What's that pinky stuff Mom used to put on your mosquito bites when you were a kid? If you know, down in the comments, let me know. Now the other thing we could do is maybe some of this like salmony pink color. That would be pretty. And I think that would actually go really well with the fuzzy wuzzy and then like a little bit of poppy. So let's do that. All right, so I've got peach, and let's just kind of jump in and see what we start getting here. And I'm not trying to really fill this in like any particular side. I'm just kind of trying to get some interesting kind of varied coverage. And here's Fuzzy Wuzzy. This is kind of the one that I want to use the most. And I'm just going to fill in the space around where I didn't do peach with this color. All right, now let's experiment. So this is that carmine, and I'm just going to sort of experiment with this. Oh yeah, okay, this is good. See how it's real pink, especially if you layer it over these other colors. This is what I was going for. Perfect. And then what we can do as well is just kind of use our white gel pen and just kind of go around these little seed dots. Like strawberries are one of those things that kind of has like a little white divot around its little seeds. Okay. And we'll do the same with the rest. So while I do this, I'll tell you the story about my robins, even though we're not there yet, but it's all good. So I have these like wooden trellises on the side of my house coming up to my front door, and one day we realized that we had a nest up there. It was probably about a month ago, and so the wisteria that grows on that vine really hadn't quite taken hold yet, so it was kind of obvious. And you know, when Mom wasn't around, we kind of just poked our head up there and just saw that there was one blue, robin's egg in there. And I really didn't want to disturb her, so we really didn't. And then, we didn't know if the babies had hatched, if anything had happened. And then all of a sudden we see two babies poking their heads out, kind of popping up like little whack-a-moles, wanting food. And it was so, so cute. And then all of a sudden we realized there's not two in there, there's three. So we went from one lone egg in the nest to thinking there were two baby Cheep Cheeps, and now there's three. And you can tell it's getting a little tight in there now because they are like really kind of pushing each other around. It's super cute. Their feathers are really coming in. They really went from like fuzzy, alien looking baby birds to really, really cute. And so I'm not sure how long it'll take to kind of have them be trying to leave the nest, but I don't think it'll be too long now. I've seen some other baby robins kind of hopping around elsewhere around our house, so I wonder if maybe ours were just a little bit late, and we might see some maturing of our little babies very soon. They're super cute. If I can insert a video, I certainly will. But they are super cute. And I feel bad because every time we open our front door, Mom takes off like she's, sorry guys, I'm out of here. So we've been trying to go out through the garage so that we don't disturb them. All right, I like that. So we still kind of have the same sort of tones. You can tell that they're strawberries, but they're early strawberries. They're not that bright red, kind of rich color. And just to make sure that the cardinal is nice and front and center. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I really like when these little bits kind of peek out of the circle. I think it's just really kind of visually interesting. So what I want to do is just maybe choose like a couple little spots where I'm just going to extend this outward, and I'm just going to sort of finish the shape. And then I will go over that with Sharpie to fill it in. Should I do this one? This one's kind of big. Oh, why not? And what I'm just doing is just very lightly kind of drawing the rest of the overall shape. And then I can go back in and draw in the actual... Okay. And it doesn't really matter that the pencil is there. I'm just going to go over this with this is a Sharpie fine liner. If you guys don't have one of these, it's the perfect weight, meaning like line size of a coloring book drawing. Like, your typical line weight is about the same. So it's just really, really useful to kind of go back in with one of these, and it just mimics the line weight of one of these drawings. And the only thing about doing that is that, now you have this line over here, so you do have to disguise it a little bit when you go in and actually color, but I am not that worried about it. We'll just kind of blend it in, and we'll try to kind of seamlessly match where that is. But now we have a couple little spots where we have some extra leaves kind of peeking out. And like I was saying, it doesn't really matter that the pencil lines are here because the Sharpie is actually really impervious. So I have kind of gone over these, and now I'm actually going to be able to go right over the Sharpie with my eraser, and the eraser is going to erase the pencil lines but not the Sharpie. And it doesn't even smear the Sharpie, which is really, really cool. It just kind of goes underneath so that you have full All right, now for our leaves, I'm really drawn. I love the idea of like reds and pinks with some of these really kind of lime peel, kind of chartreuse colors. So what I think I'm gonna do is kind of start with these and then we'll build upon them with some other greens. Maybe even this like peacock green would be really pretty. And then I also want to add in a little bit of maybe some of these like dark kind of black cherry purples. And I might be able to kind of disguise some of our circle, you know, shapes still within these leaves that we extended with some of these darker colors. So I'm gonna pull these real fast. All right, so here's the colors that I pulled for our leaf shapes. And my lime peel is very tiny. So we're gonna put this in an extender. And I think I'm just going to maybe choose, here, we'll do this one. I'm just gonna do like one side of the leaf here. And I'm not going edge to edge, just kind of making a little bit of like a leaf shape within the leaf right there, and then maybe just a little bit up here at the top. And then I can sort of work my way down. This is Crayola Olive. And instead of going right to my dark colors, I'm going to use this one as kind of a medium tone, just to kind of bridge the gap a little bit. Mid-tone, that's the word I was looking for. This also acts as a really nice foundational layer for the darker colors that we add in later. And it'll just sort of help to build a little bit of the color story as we kind of layer on top. Because that peacock green is a very jarring, kind of tealish green. And I definitely want a little bit of a more traditional green underneath it, just to help to kind of inform the color a little bit more than it would be on its own. All right, that works. Now let's go ahead and we'll add this peacock green. And I really like this one kind of in some of these like little veins, these little kind of shapes here that might like indicate that it's curving. And then we'll just kind of build outward. And don't worry if it's a little bit, all right, I'm gonna go back to my olive green. Sorry, I'm just gonna help sort of blend these colors together. Just a little bit softer transition here in certain areas. Okay, now I am going to go for the two purples that I pulled. So this is black grape and this is black cherry. And this one's a little bit more purple, this one's a little bit more of a brown sort of color. So I am going to start with black cherry. And I'm just gonna add this in right here in the curve. And I'm even gonna bring it into some of these lighter areas just to show a little bit more of that purple. I really like adding purple to greens. I don't know if it's just like, kind of reminds me of those beautiful purples that you find in succulents, but I think it's really a nice complement. And I'm also just going to sort of create little lines that just kind of mirror the curvature here, just to add a little bit of visual interest as well. These actually kind of read the exact same. Now I'm going to go back in with my lime peel, and I'm just like ever so lightly going to just blend all of these in, just soften some of these edges. And I'm like barely touching the paper. I'm gonna leave these areas really light. Those aren't really areas that I need to blend. And it'll just give a nice little light moment. There we go, perfect. All right, I'm gonna do that on the rest of these leaves. Now that we have all of the leaves done, I'm just going to go around with this super light lime peel color, and I'm just going to go over the little tendril leaves just as my foundational layer, and then also on the strawberries itself, or themselves. And then I'm just going to follow that up with this olive green color And I'm going to make sure it's nice and sharp to get into all these little spots. And I'm just going to treat this as kind of that mid color. I'm just going to go around and do, oh, yeah, Crayola. Gotta love it. Let's see if I can salvage this. Okay, I think I'm okay. And then when I actually go to the leaf parts, I'm just going to add just a little bit of this just around the edges. And then where it is on the strawberries, just kind of here at the top. And I'm just sort of pulling this down towards the point, just a little bit, just to add in some color variation. And then with this green, we'll just go in and add some extra little spots, especially here on the strawberry leaves, just to kind of drive home some of that overlap. All right, we have just a little bit left to go, and I don't want to forget, I do want to come back in with my white and just add a little bit of a highlight to the beak there. And then I kind of want these little flowers to be white, so I think I might even just use my white gel pen just to kind of add a little bit of that like super bright white that's a little bit different from the paper white. And then I'm kind of struggling with what to do with the background. I really don't want to use blue just because it's so predictable. It's so kind of what I would normally pick, but I don't know what's the alternative. So let's take a look at our color chart and just kind of see what are the alternatives. Like, I don't want anything too dark because I really like the like black sort of facial feature here, so I don't want anything to take away from that. This might not be a bad option, this slate gray color. It's still blue, but it's not like sky blue, like super predictable. So maybe that's an option. No reds, no oranges, no yellows. Maybe yellow. Like if I do yellow, like I'm so tempted to do like a jasmine or like something kind of safe. No gray, that's boring. What about even like a light purple? Like what if I maybe did like grayed lavender? Let me take a look at some of these, because maybe this mauvulous color, like it's still kind of in the same like soft sort of pinky family as the strawberries, but it's more purple than pink. Maybe I do mauvulous and mauve, kind of a combo there. Not a bad option. This is kind of cool. Sizzling sunset. Ooh, what about purple heart? That's kind of pretty. What if we did like lilac and purple heart, kind of a combo? I kind of like that. Why don't we do that? I'm gonna dig out those two purples real quick. Ooh, do you ever like get to this point and then you're like kind of scared about it? Me too. I think we'll be okay. It's so light that it's really kind of just soft, but it might actually help to kind of speak to some of the purples in the leaves. And I'm just gonna see what happens. So this is lilac, and then this is purple heart. I'm just gonna go over this a little bit, and it's kind of adding like a little bit of a blue tone to it, which I kind of like. Yeah, I think this will work. I think the white flowers will pop. And while I do this, I do want to take a moment and just thank Skillshare for partnering with me on this video. They have been a long-time supporter of the channel, and I really do appreciate the support. It is definitely partners like Skillshare that keep the lights on here at PencilStash, so check them out if you have a moment. There is a link in the description, and I will be right back with you.
Thanks again to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Now, if you liked learning from me today, you're going to love learning from all the talented creators on Skillshare's platform. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with thousands of classes in design, art, business, so much more. If you want to improve your knowledge on any topic, Skillshare has a class for you. Like this class, Storytelling for leaders, how to craft stories that matter. Storytelling is such a translatable skill, whether you're using it professionally or personally. So definitely a skill to hone. Now, premium membership gives you unlimited access to classes, communities, and workshops that are just right for you and your learning goals. So join the millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for PencilStash viewers. The first 1,000 viewers to click the link below in the description will get a free trial of premium Skillshare membership. Act now for this special offer and start learning with Skillshare today.
All right, here is the background. I do like the purple. I think it's like just enough purple, just enough blue. It's kind of in between, and it works. Now, the only other thing that I want to do to finish this off is I'm actually going to use this metallic Jelly Roll gel pen, and I think it's a beautiful gold color. So I just kind of wanted to put a little bit of a ring around the edge here. And I'm going to try to make it as uniform as I can, and it's going to go underneath all of the kind of jut out spots. And I'm definitely going to have to turn this thing so that I don't smear my hand in it. And this isn't quite gold, it's almost like a bronzy kind of pretty gold. So let's finish this up. All right, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. One last thing. A little pink center to our flowers, and we are done. Our cardinal is finished. He's beautiful, he's flashy. I definitely liked using the reference photo. I think it definitely helped me to kind of identify where to put maybe some of these darker colors and where to maybe put some of these more orangey colors. And I also really like the bits that kind of popped out of our frame. That's definitely something that I really enjoy visually. It was a little bit difficult to kind of hide or mask that line, but it is what it is. It doesn't bother me. All good. So we are definitely going to be tackling these other birdies in the coming weeks. I'm hoping to do one a week and just kind of follow the theme until this page is done. And I really want to do them all very differently, give them all kind of an individual identity and have some fun with it. So join me next time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment down below, and definitely check out all that Skillshare has to offer via the link down below. You guys are the best, really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.